Welcome new and old friends, my name is 2482, and today 2 got us 5 Glitch in the Matrix stories. So, turn off your lights, make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. I thought it was so cool when I discovered I had X-ray vision. Until I got in a traffic jam on the interstate and realized just how many cars around me had dead bodies or kidnapped victims in their trunks. Someone stopped me from being hit by a car, and it was myself. By Anonymoose. I have never in my entire life experienced anything remotely like what just happened to me now. And also, I'm not crazy. I finished work at about 10:15 p.m., so it was pitch black, and cycled home. It's roughly a 25-minute cycle back home, and as I got into my little town, I was approaching the crossroad, in which I go straight ahead at, when I'm cycling home. Upon approach to the crossroads, the light is red, but I'm still a good 10 to 15 seconds away from it, so I continue at the speed I'm going. I see another cyclist coming towards me on the other side of the road from the direction I'm heading, and speeds over the crossroads. As he's approaching me, I see he's wearing the exact same high-vis helmet and jacket as me, as well as the same red backpack. By this point, the light had turned amber and then green, so I thanked my luck for not having to stop and keep going at the same speed I was going at. Just as I was on the approach to the green light, the other cyclist was right in front of me, but on the other side of the road, and passed me. As he passed me, he says, "Careful, mate." In my voice. My exact voice. And also, I'm not from this country I live in, so my accent is very unique. And it has the same tone of voice and everything. I stopped my bike and turned around. No traffic behind me as the roads are dead at this time of night. And he had vanished. There was no way he could have turned down a side road or made it so far he was out of sight. He mysteriously vanished. I turned back around and began cycling again, and all of a sudden a car sped across the road at around double the speed limit, running a red light. If I hadn't stopped to look at the mysterious person who looked and sounded exactly like me, I had been hit side on and likely died. I don't believe in anything supernatural, and I'm not religious, but this makes me question some things. I think if this person had just vanished after the warning, then I could answer it as a very unlikely event that someone who looks and sounds just like me had maybe seen the car approaching, but he vanished. I know for a fact that there is something waiting for us when we die. It's hungry, it's starving, it will consume us all, and it's getting closer. Something I still can't explain how it happened. By amortentiando. I don't know exactly how to tell this experience, since English is not my first language, and it's a pretty odd thing that happened to me once. Don't know if it can be considered a glitch in the Matrix, but it's either that or something I cannot for the life of me explain. It's silly, really. But I can't find an explanation from today. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was watching a suspense movie with my mom. I remember it had Julia Moore in it, and it had something to do with a guy with multiple personalities. It was cold and foggy winter day outside, so there wasn't anyone outside in the streets or anything, and it was a very quiet day in general, and there was a window by the side of the sofa my mom was laid on. I was in another sofa parallel to the one she was in. It was a pretty small living room, and since I also laid down, we were both facing the TV, but I was pretty much facing the window too. I only had to slightly turn my head to look outside. We had the neighbor's house on the other side of that window, but it was too far for anyone on their side of the fence to reach our house. And besides, there was no one home in their house that weekend. They had a dog, and they even took the dog with them wherever they traveled to. So the movie ended, and as the credits were rolling, we suddenly heard the window glass tremble a little bit, and a liquidy squirt sound, and when we looked to the window, there was a large wet spot of water running over the glass. It was exactly like someone had hit the window with a water gun. But immediately, my mom and I ran to the window, and there wasn't a soul out there. Also, from where I sat, I could see if there were someone outside without getting up, and there wasn't. The only place where it could have come from was from our neighbor's patio, but there wasn't anybody there. Our window was pretty high from the ground, and it was clear from the mark that the water had made on the glass that it had come from a straight angle. Not from above, not from below. It wasn't raining, there was no one in sight. It just came out of nowhere, and there wasn't even any sound of movement outside, because it was cold, and there was nobody on the street. That's pretty much it, really. It happened fast. It isn't anything too exciting, but from that day, my mom and I couldn't find any reasonable explanation to that happening. I mean, it could have been a bird or something that flew by and somehow peed on the window and managed not to collide against it. It sounds highly unlikely. I would have seen at least a shadow of something moving outside, since I immediately looked in its direction. I honestly don't know. Congratulations, Mr. Johnson. You've been accepted into the clinical trial and should have a new set of teeth in no time. Unfortunately, your insurance no longer covers extraction, and you'll either have to pay out of pocket or remove them yourself before any new teeth can grow in. Boyfriend and I almost got hit by a white car, except it wasn't white. By Ashlaylynne. Yesterday, my boyfriend and I enjoyed a beautiful day, and we decided to take a walk up to the local Chamberlain Farms to grab some iced coffees. Nothing out of the ordinary, that was until we walked back home. I want to explain the layout of the area briefly so you can kind of understand. So there's our street, and at the end there's a blinking light, and then a pretty big corner on the left side, if you come out of our street. And then you're on a pretty busy main road, where the Chamberlain Farms is on. As we were walking back down the main street and around the corner to get onto our street, a white Mercedes-Benz car came flying behind us around that corner. I get it. The person was probably looking at a car ahead, etc. It's kind of a blind corner and cars do come around it fairly fast. What's crazy is that we didn't even hear it. Something inside me just said to turn around, and as I did, the person, who was a woman with dark hair and a red shirt on, was swerving to avoid us. My boyfriend and I both saw the car. We both saw the woman that was driving it. It was almost as if time had slowed down for just that brief moment. I said, "Holy shit, that car almost hit us." His reply was, "That white Benz?" brushing it off. We keep walking and talking, didn't really think much of it. We're about 800 yards from our house when a woman with dark hair and a red shirt on was bringing in her garbage can. You can tell she's most likely just getting back from work, still has her work badge on, and this was around 6 p.m. We live in a pretty small, friendly little community. The side her house is on is directly on the lake. We say hello, and she says, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to scare you guys back there. I didn't even see you." We said that it was okay and that it's definitely a blind area. And we all laugh it off. Boyfriend and I keep walking towards our home. Now this is the weird part. The houses that are on the lakeside have literally the smallest driveways. Basically, non-existent. Pretty much no lawns either, so no garage. Nowhere for a car to be pulled around. Nothing. This particular home, the woman's home with the red shirt, honestly gave off more of a suburban cabin kind of home, if that makes sense at all. Anyways, there are 2 cars in the little parking area of her home. A bright red, and I mean apple red, and an ugly green. More on the dark side. Both are colors that you don't really see. I'm not sure of the exact type of car that they were, but they were both the same besides the color. Ugly cars, I want to add. Definitely nowhere near a Benz look-like, not even close, more like a Prius look-like. My boyfriend was the one that made the comment and said, "I thought it was a white Mercedes that almost hit us." I was so dumbfounded. I kept looking back, trying to justify what the fuck just happened. It was 1000% the same woman, but a totally different car? I mean, these cars' body shape were so beyond different that there's no way we would have possibly mixed it up. Not to mention the color, a bright apple red and a Mercedes white. I woke up in the morning still trying to rationalize the mix-up, and no matter how logical I try to be, I just can't. Play me a song on this and I'll release your soul. The Demon Promise, the blues musician. His screams as the razor-sharp guitar strings sliced deep into his fingers were the sweetest music the demon could ask for. Something weird happened around me. By iravikuttanpillai. Originally posted in some other sub, and someone recommended this sub to me. Need help? I don't really know how to put it correctly. It all feels very strange, and I'm seriously doubting my own consciousness. I'm an Indian working in KSA for the last 9 years and haven't been able to take a vacation for the last 4 years working continuously because of COVID and shit. And when I reached India last week, after a long journey, called my friends to meet at our local fast food joint. And we were talking about so many things, and I was trying to catch up with what was happening around locally. Then I proceeded to ask them about the new football turf I saw on the way and suggested we play there for some time. My friends agreed to that with a puzzled expression. I started to ask them about our local football club. Are they still using the orange jersey like they used to? Whom all's still playing in the team? Which tournament we last played? They did answer all these questions, but at the end they asked me why I was asking about football. I laughed at them and said because we loved football, and I, along with another one of our friends, were the only local boys who used to play for the club when they were participating in big tournaments. And I reminded them how big the celebration for the 2010 Football World Cup had been in our village. They looked at each other and laughed at me and said I'd gone mad. I kept telling them about some tournaments and how I and a certain other player performances and some other specific instances. Their reactions were the same as before. According to them, I was never into football. I had never even been an average player. And some of the incidents I mentioned did really happen, but I was never part of it. Now I'm pissed and confused at the same time. I know I was a good player. I know I played for the club, and these fuckers keep telling me I wasn't. But there is another thing I know. I played for my college team. And there's this one guy from my place who was my senior in college. He must have known about me or at least seen me playing for the college team. So I asked my friend to call this guy and ask him about me and football. He answered the phone, and like my other friends, he said he had never seen me playing football, but I had something else to prove my point. Photos. I had uploaded some of my college team photos when we won a tournament. I proceeded to open my Facebook and scroll through the photos, scrolling down and down and down. There is no fucking photo. I clearly remember the photos with our Real Madrid jerseys, but it wasn't there. We decided to end this conversation there and left for home. I was confused but didn't talk to anyone about this. The next morning I got a call from the courier service for my package I had sent from KSA. Now I remembered something. I had sent my football shoes in that cargo. I used to play near the company camp with the same shoes. I received the package, took it home, opened it, and fuck, there's no football shoes in there. Now I'm seriously pissed and called my company people at KSA, and they say they have never seen me playing football. Called my college friends. They had never seen me playing football. Asked my family. Same. I'm pretty damn sure what I think about me is real. I know it's only been a week, but I think everyone around me has gone through some internal sunshine shit, and their minds got erased or something, or I'm in deep trouble and need help. Update number 1. Mother gave me a bunch of dress, which according to her I left here when I went back to KSA 4 years ago. Guess what? I have no recollection of owning that bunch. It somewhat fits me, given it's 4 years old. And as far as I remember, I used ready-made shirts. All of these shirts she gave me are tailor-made, which is very unlike me. Update 2. Went to the turf with my friends. There was a bunch of guys warming up to play. Some of them I knew before, had a little chat and joined them, and fucking killed the game. I was seriously doubting myself before, but not anymore. I know who I am. I know what I'm saying is true. The frustrating part is that my friends who were with me saying that I must have been playing with some Saudi guys for the past 4 years. They still don't believe me. Update 3. Lots of people recommend me consulting a doctor, which reminded me of one incident that happened while I was on the college team. It was a training session and I fell down while controlling the ball, and the guy next to me tried to clear the ball, but he missed it and kicked me in the ribs. I shrugged it off and kept playing. After the session, we were changing to leave and I felt a pain in my rib and I called my trainer. He called an ambulance and I got admitted to the hospital. And they were doing some tests. Don't remember the name, but they had the clip thing to attach to my finger. I was fine, but they wanted me to be observed for 24 hours. I remember my father and uncle being there, and after I informed them, I remember my college friends being there on the next day. Let's see if anyone remembers this. Update 4. As expected, no one remembers nothing. Went to the hospital to check the records. No records. Update 5. Met my ? Trainer. Asked him about the incident, even though he confirmed the incident really happened, but a couple of things I got wrong according to him. 1. It wasn't an ambulance, but his own car. 2. The guy who got injured wasn't me, but some other kid. I was never part of the team. The deal was simple. Spend 90 days off the grid at an idyllic mountain estate and receive $10 million. But when I realized that my only connection to the outside world was a live stream of my family being tortured, the serene isolation dissolved into madness. Strange, funny synchronicity. Birds of a feather flock together instant. 4 strange different things happening within 30-minute span time. By Sisman M7. In my life, I've noticed synchronicities, and stuff where it appears birds of a feather are flocking together. Meaning, a lot of people doing the same thing or from the same background, etc., are all around me at once, and seem more than a coincidence. I am like, what are the odds of that? About a few weeks ago, some strange stuff happened at a convenience store that has money transferring agencies that I use sometimes to send money back to my home country, where I have friends and family. After this incident, I'm definitely not going back there. I was getting 120 from the ATM machine because I wanted to send 100 at that location back to my homeland. I now live in the US. As I was getting my card out and the ATM paying out the money, I suddenly loudly hear a friend of mine yell my name out loud. And he hasn't seen me for years, so he wasn't expecting to see me. I turned around briefly to the right to look at him and greet him and step away from the ATM about 2 feet. And by the time I was done greeting him, I checked my pocket and noticed I didn't have the 120. I turned around and the guy is at the ATM with his Wells Fargo card out, and he asking me, "How do I get my money out of the savings? Please assist me." The guy is also from my home country, by the way. This is a store that is usually pretty much all people from my home country. I then told him to tap on savings. I also noticed the cash is no longer the place that it dispenses to, so I suspect he took it. And then he quickly, in a fast tone, asked me, "What's next? Where do I tap next?" I get the impression that this guy is a criminal and trying to draw attention from himself by making himself appear as if he's just arrived at the ATM and is innocent. He said he is trying to withdraw $20. I suspect he was acting that way to try and cover up the fact that he just took my 120. I asked him to please just start giving me my 120 as he is under a camera. I thought he was at the time, but the store didn't have any cameras facing there. He had around $80 in his hand and he gave it to me, and suddenly all the other people are causing commotion and ruining my focus, including that original friend of mine that was the cause of me forgetting to grab my 120. He was saying, "Just leave the elder alone," because that criminal guy was older and had gray hair from my country. Usually in my home country that is Islamic, elders are respected and most will try and get me to leave him alone even if he did something wrong, like steal something, because the elders normally don't steal and deceive. This is where the glitch part starts happening. I suspect he himself is a little mentally ill for being an elder with gray hair and stealing my money like that, and then another woman that I suspect is mental starts yelling at me. "Why don't you leave the elder alone? You got a fat stomach, man. You can work for that money that you lost, which I don't think the elder took." She said that in our language, that isn't English, by the way. I laughed, and she drew my attention away from the fact that I was about to get my remaining $40 from the guy. And to make matters worse, he tells her that he withdrew only 20 from the machine, and the 80 I took from him had his 20 in there. So she takes one of the 20s from my hand and gives it to him. I'm like, is she normal or crazy? Then the owner of the store himself that I sent money from countless times starts telling me that it isn't the elder who did it, and I never even came in with 120, nor got 120 from the ATM in the first place. And I keep telling him I just got 80 back from the guy, and that crazy woman just gave him back 20 out of my own hand. While everyone was doing the commotion and all talking at the same time instead of letting me talk to him straight and nicely. The guy even said, "Search me if you like," but I informed him that it's Ramadan and that I don't search elderly like that. If you know you took it, just give it back, otherwise the sin is on you. And then the owner of the store, who is also the one I usually send my money transfers, came out from the back counter and started holding my hand hard, with a hard grip, and started shaking my hand up and down hard and dancing as if I'm someone that is fine with his silly, stupid play like that. But that further confirmed my suspicion that he is mentally ill too, because he also said, "Just let Allah deal with it," or something to that liking. "He will get his karma," or maybe Allah intended this to be a sadaqah charity for him. And I replied, "How can this be a charity when it is theft?" And then I asked him if he could trespass him, and he said no, that he's one of my regular customers. Then I replied, "Fine, I'll file a police report." The ATM has cameras, but the store didn't have cameras pointing there. I believe the guy saw the money sitting on the ATM dispense area that I am supposed to grab it from, while my attention was away to my buddy. I hadn't seen it in a very long time, and the guy hurried up in there and quickly grabbed it and started acting like he was withdrawing $20 and he had helped to withdraw it when he knew exactly how to withdraw, but was trying to do cover-up and pretend like he was innocent old guy who doesn't know how to withdraw. So the glitch is that I was suddenly surrounded by a flash of mental illness from the universe, lol, a lot of people all mentally ill at once, and then I just figured I'll do a police report when I get home. The glitch didn't end there though. Just as I was about to exit the store, another buddy of mine was about to come in, and he gave me exactly $120 to have me list his towing company that he opened into Google Business listings for him. I never even told him about what just happened inside, but he somehow chose to give me $120 for the quick task. He owns restaurants and is wealthy, and I 100% believe he randomly entered the store and had zero knowledge about the $120 theft that just occurred to me. It took me about 15 minutes to do his task of listing his new towing company in Google, and that $120 for 15 minutes was a very good money for me, so it was like God or the universe gave me $120 for the $120 mess that I encountered with all those 3 mentally ill people, including the store owner. I was like, I am never going back there again. Just want to add at the end here that the OP did file a police report and never even talked to his friend about the $120 at all, so it was very random. I also want to apologize if I mispronounced any of those foreign words. I really tried my best. Mark went downstairs to the basement to get some milk. He came back upstairs, leaving the girl screaming, begging for death. And with that, we're near the end of this video. I first would like to thank every single person who let me read their stories. Thank you guys so much. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, well, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, well, think about subscribing and turning that pretty little bell to all notifications. If you'd like to help this channel or podcast, please just share it with anyone who might enjoy it. If you'd like to help it in other ways, well, I have a Patreon where for $1 a month you get early access to the audio of these stories. And with the other tiers, you get extra bonuses, one of them being able to vote on story themes. I also have merch as well, and a PayPal. Now with all that out of the way, let's get you that Sunday word so you can get me a comment down below or on Twitter. On screen right now, and of course on Twitter, is all of last week's entries. Thank you every single one of you. I guess you all didn't hiccup on this one. Now, let's move on to this Sunday's word. And I'm just hoping it's not too difficult of a word, because it's difficult, which means needing much effort or skill to accomplish, deal with, or understand. And with a woman with dyslexia, I get what difficult can mean at times. With all that being said, leave me a comment down below using that word, or on Twitter making sure you @ me, and you'll be on next week's video/photo. But as always guys, thank you for watching and listening, and it really means a lot, and I'm just happy that I know people are enjoying my content out there. It's really awesome, guys. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.